your second-round pick, the skill set, and he keeps moving, extending the play, and then boom.
Look, we all know that the NFL is a business, and sometimes that business gets messy. Players get drafted into the wrong situation, sign with or get dealt to a team that doesn't fit their style, or just stick around too long in a place that's holding them back. It's not always about talent. Sometimes the chemistry just isn't there. The coaching staff might not know how to maximize their skill set, or the locker room vibe just isn't right. And when that happens, even the biggest stars can find themselves stuck in a rut. But hey, here's the good news. A fresh start can change everything. New teammates, a new system, a new city. Man, it's amazing what a change of scenery can do for a player's career. So today, we're looking at 10 NFL stars who desperately need that reset. Whether they've been weighed down by bad coaching, lost in a team rebuild, or just fallen out of favor, these guys are screaming for a change.
All over the place, and big stars from Jefferson to Chase as Duvernay has a...
Tyreek Hill, WR, Miami Dolphins. While we may not have seen it this year, there is still reason to believe that Tyreek Hill is capable of producing at an elite level. But the Dolphins' inability to deliver on their Super Bowl aspirations has to be wearing thin on the speedster, as evidenced by his comments following their loss in Week 18 against the lowly New York Jets. Hill's explosive playmaking ability is undeniable, but Miami's inconsistency at quarterback due to Tua's inability to stay on the field and lack of playoff success have held him back from truly reaching his potential as a postseason game changer. Just imagine Hill in a stable, high-powered offense like Kansas City, again, or Philadelphia, where his talents could shine on the biggest stage. Hill is doing everything but outright begging for a move, and with good reason, because it seems as though a change is the only thing that can elevate him back into true superstar status, and maybe give him a chance to solidify his legacy with some postseason performances. Haason Reddick, DE, New York Jets. Haason Reddick is a victim of circumstance in New York, at least in the eyes of him and his agent. While his talent is absolutely unquestionable, as Reddick has proven time and time again that he is one of the most versatile pass rushers in the league, his impact has been muted by the Jets' dysfunctional environment. There was the holdout that cost him a number of games to begin with, then the results that were actually debuted for the team weren't exactly great. I mean, it's hard to dominate when your team is constantly playing from behind, and even harder when you're surrounded by a unit that has not exactly lived up to expectations. The Jets' offensive struggles consistently put their defense in bad positions, and despite Reddick's best efforts, okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, his efforts were consistently disappointing, but the point is, he was unable to shine the way he did during his time in Philadelphia. Just imagine Reddick in a system built to showcase his talents. Think about him lining up for a team like the Ravens or Steelers, where he could be a part of a cohesive defensive machine. Reddick has the skill set to be a game changer in the right environment. He just needs to get out of New York before his remaining prime years are wasted in mediocrity. Trevor Lawrence, QB, Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence's situation in Jacksonville is the case of a generational talent stuck in a, less than generational situation. While the Jaguars had high hopes when they selected him first overall, Lawrence's development has been stymied by poor coaching, inconsistent offensive line play, and a lack of top-tier weapons. Though there certainly is reason to be excited about Brian Thomas Jr. But that's neither here nor there at this point because, well, the Jaguars just need to accept that Lawrence is not going to achieve his potential in Duval. They have too incompetent of an organization, and it just feels unavoidable that they're going to ruin his career at this point. A fresh start with a team that knows how to nurture a young quarterback could completely change the trajectory of Lawrence's career. Whether it's a quarterback-friendly system like San Francisco or a team willing to invest heavily in surrounding talent, Lawrence deserves better than what Jacksonville has been able to provide. Calvin Ridley, WR, Tennessee Titans. Calvin Ridley's move to Tennessee hasn't gone the way that anyone hoped. Once considered to be one of the league's premier route runners, his chemistry with Will Levis has been spotty at best. Though with the way things are trending, that won't be an issue sooner rather than later. But still, the quarterback carousel in Tennessee has not helped his case. Ridley is still a player with the ability to put up Pro Bowl numbers, but he needs a team that'll make him the focal point of their passing attack. A move to a team like the Bengals or Chargers with a legit thrower of the football under center and an established offensive system could reignite his career and remind everyone why he was once one of the most feared wideouts in the league. Kyle Pitts, TE, Atlanta Falcons. Kyle Pitts is one of the most electrifying talents in the NFL, at least on paper. Drafted as a potentially generational, a moniker that gets thrown around far too often these days, tight end prospect with the ability to redefine the position, Pitt has been nothing short of a revelation in terms of his raw skill set. But his actual on-field impact, that's a whole different story, and frankly, it's not exactly his fault. The Falcons have failed Pitts in every conceivable way. Whether it's the carousel of quarterbacks from Marcus Mariota to Desmond Ridder to a washed-up Kirk Cousins to rookie Michael Penix Jr. or their stubborn commitment to the ground-heavy offense, Atlanta simply hasn't figured out how to maximize a guy who has all of the ability to be their most dynamic weapon. Pitts has been stuck playing the role of decoy far too often, with the occasional splash play only serving to tease what could be. He was supposed to be the next big thing, a tight end who could dominate like Travis Kelce or George Kittle. But instead, he's been reduced to a footnote in a Falcons offense that just can't figure out what it wants to be. And until he's put on an offense that treats him as such, we'll never see his full potential realized. Atlanta might not want to let him go, but for Pitt's sake and for the sake of football fans everywhere, it is time for a change. Deebo Samuel, WR, San Francisco 49ers. Deebo Samuel is a Swiss Army knife of offensive weapons. I mean, well, at least he used to be. The once dominant playmaker who seemed capable of doing everything from breaking tackles to taking jet sweeps to the house has been curiously underutilized in San Francisco. And he seems to be falling out of favor with Kyle Shanahan and a lot of the 49ers brass. Now granted, the 2024 season was a disaster for the 49ers at large, but the disappointment hit Samuel particularly hard as he fell short of the 900-yard mark for a third consecutive year. Don't forget, the wideout is still just 28 years old, and while the haters are starting to get loud, reality is that he could probably benefit from a trade to a team that'll once again treat him as a number one option. New York Jets, WR, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is one of the brightest young talents in the NFL, but you wouldn't know it by looking at the Jets' offensive output. Despite racking up 1,000-yard seasons like clockwork, he's done his third in as many years, by the way. Wilson has been stuck in quarterback purgatory since entering the league. I mean, really think about it. Wilson has had to endure a rotating cast of signal callers, none of whom have been able to unlock his full potential. From Zach Wilson's abominable play to Aaron Rodgers' injury-shortened stint followed by his disaster of a 2024 campaign, it's just been one disappointment after another. And can you blame him? Wilson is 24 years old, just entering his prime, and he has already shown that he can produce at an elite level despite the chaos around him. Put him in an offense with a competent quarterback, or better yet, a superstar like Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, and he could go from great to unstoppable. The Jets, of course, will likely try to hang on to their star receiver, especially with 2 years left on his rookie deal and a fifth-year option waiting in the wings. But if push comes to shove and Wilson hits the trade market, the demand will be sky high. And for darn good reason. He is a game changer just waiting for the right stage. Jonathan Taylor, RB, Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor is a superstar stuck in neutral. When he burst onto the scene in 2021, it seemed like the Colts had struck gold. A true workhorse back capable of dominating games on the ground. But fast forward to 2024, and Taylor's situation in Indianapolis has soured to the point that people around the league have started to whisper that Taylor would be wise to force his way out of town. Contract disputes over the offseason set the tone for a painful year, and the team's inability to field a competitive roster has only added to Taylor's frustrations. He's still one of the league's most dynamic running backs, but the Colts seem determined to just waste his prime years with their incompetence and inability to field a legitimately competitive roster. At just 25 years old, Taylor has plenty of elite seasons left in him, but the clock is ticking. If the Colts can't figure out how to build a winning team around him, and fast, it's gonna be time for both sides to move on. Taylor is far too talented to waste away on a team stuck in perpetual mediocrity. Las Vegas Raiders, DE, Maxx Crosby. Maxx Crosby has been the lone bright spot in what has been an otherwise dismal stretch for the Las Vegas Raiders. The three-time Pro Bowler has consistently played at an elite level, even as the team around him has crumbled. Though he has largely been supportive of the organization, Crosby's patience seems to be wearing thin. And man, who could blame him? Before suffering a season-ending ankle injury, Crosby's production had already begun to dip, with just one sack over his final 6 games. Perhaps in large part because because he was playing through an injury that ultimately limited him to 12 games and 7 sacks for the year. But one thing is clear. It wasn't a lack of effort on his part, and it's hard to dominate when you're constantly on the field because your offense can't sustain drives. The $23.5 million per year value of his contract only adds to the tension. Raiders owner Mark Davis has publicly insisted that Crosby isn't going anywhere, but if the star pass rusher threatens a holdout, he might not have a choice. Crosby deserves to play for a team with legitimate playoff aspirations, a franchise that would actually capitalize on its insane motor and game-wrecking ability, instead of letting the 27-year-old toil away in meaningless games. Jacksonville Jaguars RB Travis Etienne. Ever since he came into the league as a first-round selection in 2021, Etienne was viewed as one of the top playmakers coming out of the backfield in the game. Well, once he got on the field following an injury from his rookie year. But hey, point is, coming into the 2024 season, he was expected to build on consecutive 1,000-yard rushing seasons and lead Jacksonville to the playoffs. But the point is, coming into the 2024 season, he was expected to build on consecutive 1,000-yard rushing seasons and help lead Jacksonville to the playoffs for the second time in 3 seasons. After everything had fallen apart for them in a horrendous fashion down the stretch of the year prior. Unfortunately, Jacksonville's stank got all over the talented running back, and he ended up losing the lion's share of the carries to second-year running back Tank Bigsby, who ended up getting the majority of carries for the bulk of the season. Etienne's explosiveness and versatility make him a perfect fit for a team that values dynamic playmakers, and more importantly, actually knows how to use them. It seems like Jacksonville is leaning towards moving on from Etienne, and well, let's hope so, because he is still young enough to really tap into the potential that we saw bursting from the seams during the prior 2 seasons. The man just really needs to find the right home. But hey, which NFL star do you think most needs a change of scenery? Who do you think we're right on here? Who do you think we're wrong about? Or is there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.